So the Samsung Galaxy S26. Initial rumors were that there will be an S26 Pro, an S26 Edge, and an S26 Ultra. That looks like it's been scrapped. This plan looks like it's been scrapped. The plan looks like it has been scrapped, and that's because the S25 Edge sales were very, very poor, right? So it looks
Yes.
like Samsung's kind of rewinding and going back to the usual formula: S26, S26 Plus, and an S26 Ultra. I mean, the S25 Edge, good phone, slim, but we said this before. It's like, who asked for this phone, right? And the same with the iPhone Air. Who asked for it? Nobody asked for it. It's impressive in terms of the technology, but I just don't see many people buying it. And, I think that's resulted in the sales numbers as well.
Yeah, I do agree, but I think again, we said this the last time when we talked about the Edge and the Air, is that both Samsung and Apple missed a good opportunity, which Huawei is taking advantage of. I had to sneak this in because Huawei just launched the Air version in China. It's not as thin; it's 6.6 millimeters, but it has a 6400 milliamp battery.
Whew. So this is where you're not compromising. That's the thing,
Yes.
isn't it?
Mhm.
It's thinner without compromise, and I think that's what the key thing is, and that's what you really want. So it looks like they're rewinding on there. It'll be interesting to see if Apple also kind of takes a step back on the iPhone Air. They probably won't. I think they're probably going to carry on with that, but it looks like Samsung is saying goodbye to the S26 Edge as far as we can see. Now, release dates for the new Samsung Galaxy S series, we thought it's going to be around January time. Then there was some rumors that it's going to be pushed back to February, right? And I think we spoke about this. But now the most recent rumors that we're seeing is that it's going back to Jan. So it's been yo-yoing, right? Maybe because they're like, okay, we're not going to do the Edge anymore, so we can, push things back and stick to our regular formula. Well, late Jan is when the Unpacked event is going to be, with the release following shortly after. So that's pretty good that we're back on track.
Yeah, I think Samsung was going through a slight crisis just because, which most people probably don't recognize, is Winter Olympics is this year. And Winter Olympics is February, I believe February 2nd, and ends on like the 20th. So Samsung was probably trying to walk around that. And they moved it to, the rumors of moving it to the 25th makes sense, except MWC starts that weekend. And Samsung typically hosts its Unpacked event for the Galaxy S series in the San Jose area in the US. And MWC is in Barcelona, all over
Other side of the
there.
world.
Yeah, exactly. So it feels like it becomes a scheduling nightmare, which I think for them makes sense to be the end of January, because you can flow into the Olympics, use the Olympics as advertising, all the athletes again, the Olympic version, like they usually do, which will make more sense, at least for me in that regard, than pushing it all the way to MWC.
I agree. And, at least for us, the schedule is kind of back to what we thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah.
Now, thank God. Now, looking at the design, so it looks like they are adopting this camera island design that we also saw on the leaks of the S26 Ultra. A lot of these leaks come from OnLeaks and Android headlines, so these are reputable leaks, and it's kind of like not a complete redesign, but a bit of an evolution of the current design that we have. One key thing that we do notice here is that some of these new leaked renders, we have an orange version. I wonder where that came from.
Yeah.
Mine is colored right now.
Is that an orange phone, by the way?
This, maybe it came from this, I don't know. But it kind of looks like, since Apple has done the orange iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max, a lot of manufacturers are now thinking, hey, this is a nice new color. Let's explore it as well. So it looks like we might be getting an orange color here as well.
I'm fine with, like, you and I know this. I like the orange iPhone. I like the color. I like the boldness of just going with that color. And I'm happy for manufacturers like Samsung to adopt the boldness of going with bold colors, not boldness of going with the same color. That's completely different. So hopefully that was a one-off mistake or something, or who knows? Maybe it's not really orange. Maybe it's more like cherry red. I don't know. I'm just making some colors up at this point. Or who knows what's
He's
gonna
trying to
happen?
defend it. It's going to look a very similar shade, or it's going to be slightly different. Obviously, they're going to name it something different,
Yeah.
or maybe they won't. Because remember when it came to titanium, so we had Apple who released titanium. They called each of their colors titanium, so it was like titanium silver, titanium this, right? And then Samsung kind of just flipped it and then just called it silver titanium, blue titanium, and whatever. So
Uh-huh.
we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. One of the other interesting rumors is that we might have a dual chipset situation like we've had in previous Samsung Galaxy S devices. So there might be certain regions that will have the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, and others will have Samsung Exynos 2600 chip. So for the past few years, Samsung has been consistent. They've stuck with the Snapdragon for all versions, but it looks like this year they might be going back to that split based on regions. Now, I've got no hate on Exynos. I know lots of people do have that. I just prefer consistency, because if I'm testing a version in the UK and a lot of my viewers are watching the video in the US where there's a different chip version, then they're not really getting the exact experience that I'm going to be talking about. So that's my issue with that. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with that. And I think there are two things to that. Number one, there's probably contracts with Qualcomm that they would have to still at least stick with Qualcomm for a while. Number two, there's the hate of Exynos in the past, where we've always, we've always seen lesser performance numbers. Now, the rumors, and I just have to state this as the rumors of the
Mm,
benchmark numbers for the Exynos 2600 is downright impressive. You're looking
mm,
at a single core score that has been reported at 4,217. Snapdragon Elite Gen 5 has not come close to that. And a multi-core score of 13,482. So basically, this is better than we're currently A19, right? On the iPhone, or A18. I
yeah,
can't remember.
A19 Pro.
A19 Pro. It's better than A19 Pro. It's better than Snapdragon. It's better than MediaTek. And it matches Apple's M5.
Ooh.
That is very impressive. This is a 2 nanometer chipset. So if that's the case, I would like to have this chip on all devices, like Saf said, give this to me on everything possible across regions as well, so that we know, okay, Saf is not getting the better phone than I am, because that's literally what's going to happen. Because the UK will probably get the Exynos, and I'll be like, yo, Saf, can you buy that for me, please?
Yeah, well, that's what we used to do before. So you could do an Exynos versus a Snapdragon comparison. You know what's interesting? I mean, I still stick to that fact that I think consistency is important across
Yeah.
all markets, because we are in an international market right now. But what will be interesting is, how we've usually had the anti-Exynos crowd. Will they
Mhm.
switch and be like, you know what? Usually, traditionally, it's always been the case. I want the Snapdragon version, right? That's what we normally hear on our videos, on our
Yes.
comments. People are like, I want the Snapdragon
Right.
version, when there has been a Snapdragon and Exynos version. Maybe for the S26 series, people will be like, I want the Exynos version.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
we're gonna see a switch.
But that's an interesting part, because here's the funny part is that, you remember how was it last year or 2 years ago, where it was like, okay, the Exynos chipset will go on the S20, the base model, the S26, the S25, and then the Qualcomm goes on the Ultra.
Hmm.
If that happens, for whatever
Then,
reason,
oh, the base models will be faster, essentially.
yeah,
Um, we're not taking cooling and all of those things. Obviously the Ultra version will have a larger vapor chamber. So, but we're talking just like raw performance.
for months, yeah,
This is all right. Let's see what they do. I mean, Samsung, the ball's in your court. Let's see what you guys come up with and how you balance this. Maybe they will underclock. So you know how they have
probably.
the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 for Galaxy. They'll have an Exynos 2600 for Galaxy, which is like slightly underclocked to match it. I don't know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. There's some other good news as well. So there's two reliable tipsters, Ice Universe and Jukan, have confirmed that the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra, at least, will support 60-watt wide and 25-watt wireless charging, and may also have Qi 2.2 with potentially built-in magnets. Now, this also means that the S26 Plus at least should also get something similar. Whether that's going to come to the S26, we'll have to see. But there are rumors that all of the devices, the S26, the S26 Plus, as well as the S26 Ultra, will have faster charging speeds, which we've been asking for ages.
Yes,
Still,
I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see at least 60 watts. You know, now I'm pushing it again because the last time I think I said 60 or 65 would be nice. You
yeah.
know, if you could just give me 80, I don't need 120. I just need 80 next.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I mean, it's still not going to be anywhere near the OnePlus 15, which has 120-watt charging, right?
Yes, yeah.
And it comes with the charger in out of the box in some regions. I believe it comes out I believe it comes with the charger in the box in the US. But this is the thing, like Samsung has been really falling behind the competition. And in terms of the myth that faster charging decreases your lifespan of the battery, that's kind of been debunked. There's a YouTuber who actually did a 2-year test,
Yes, I
which is
saw that.
crazy.
I saw
You
that
saw that?
video.
Great
Yeah.
channel, by the way. Shout out. I was like, you know what, dude, that's a lot of time and effort, and that proved that, and it was a comprehensive test, and it proved that faster charging does not have a significant enough impact on the battery lifespan. So based on that, it's like, no excuses now, Samsung. We need faster charging. That's what the competition is offering, and we really need that here with the Galaxy S series, especially. So let's see what they do with the charging there. I would definitely like to have magnets built in, like Google has done. So then that way you don't necessarily have to have a particular case or anything. It just snaps on to all the accessories.
No, I agree. And I think, you know, with faster charging, also larger battery size, which there's rumor it might be going up to 5,400 for the Ultra.
Okay.
um, actually helps with your battery life, because if you have a faster charging and a bigger battery, the less charging cycles you will run through because you have more battery to use. It's that simple, and you can use your battery all the way down, because what usually happens for most people is once you get close to 50%, not even 50, like 60%, you're looking for a charger somewhere. You're like, oh, okay, I got to. When you know
Mm.
that you can run it down to honestly 10, and then in 10 minutes, you're back up again, right? That's it.
This is the thing. So that's another thing that we're hoping for, and it's looking exciting. I think the final rumor that we've kind of seen, and this comes from Mice Universe as well, is that the hole punch for at least the S26 Ultra is going to be larger compared to the S25 Ultra. Now, that will potentially mean that it's going to have a wider angular view. And I wonder if Samsung is trying to do what Apple did with their center stage selfie cameras on the iPhone series, right? Where you can shoot both landscape and portrait images without having to rotate your phone. Now, having that larger punch out would potentially allow for that if you've got a wider angular view, which means you can capture more. So I don't know. This one we'll have to wait and see for. There's not been too much around it. I personally don't mind a slightly larger punch out if it's going to give me better selfies. But this is something that's currently rumored for the S26 Ultra. We've not really heard anything on the S26 and the S26 Plus's front-facing cameras.
No, we'll just have to wait and see.